What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How are you all today? And welcome to another episode of Phenomenal Views. Of course, I'm your host, Nick Smith, and there has been a movie by Daniel Radcliff, or that he stars in, that I have been wanting to watch for some time, aka Horns. My girlfriend Rachel watched it. She said it was okay, and Filmmaster Adam said it was okay, but his reaction after watching the movie was, what did I just watch? And after watching this my second time, this is still my reaction. As soon as I type my passcode in, this was my second reaction.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. So, Horns is a movie based on a book called Horns. It stars Daniel Radcliff, who plays Iggy Parrish, who, in the movie, grows horns out of nowhere. And with these horns, he makes people tell them their sins of sinful things they want to do, and when he touches them, he sees all their past sins, and he is being blamed for the murder of his girlfriend, who is very, very hot. This, when I first watched it, it was, you know, I've always been wanting to watch it, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm finally gonna get to watch Horns. Then I watch it, and it's kind of depressing. I mean, it's good. Daniel Radcliffe is good in anything. He's always going to be known as Harry Potter. But I see, whenever I watch Daniel Radcliffe, it depends. But in this, I didn't see Harry Potter. I seen Iggy Parrish. In The Woman in Black, I seen the character he played in The Woman in Black. I do not see Harry Potter anymore. That's the thing. I don't. But that's beside the point. The movie starts with a narration like how they did in American Beauty. Like how, for those who have not watched this movie, this is going to contain spoilers, but whatever. Like how in the beginning of American Beauty, how the dad is basically saying, I'm going to tell you about my days before, you know, I died. This is pretty much talking about how him and his girlfriend Marin were in paradise, and we explain the story of, we see how in love Daniel Radcliffe and the girl who plays Marin are. And they have great chemistry. Really good chemistry. There is some really good acting in this movie. And it goes to the next day and how he's playing their song. I don't actually know what it's called, but then we see that there are people who are thinking that he killed her. And no matter what he does, no matter what he says, everyone believes it was him. So, after a night of booze and sex with this chick that no one ever wants to bang unless they're drunk, he wakes up to discover that he has grown a pair of horns. He goes to the doctor, and this is where, actually no, before that, this is where the hilarity ensues. The girl is like, I want to eat all these donuts. Can I have one? Yeah, sure. She eats it, and then she's like, I didn't like it, but I want to eat another one. I want to get really fat. And, you know, this is where hilarity ensues. He's confused. He doesn't understand. He goes to a doctor. He sees this screaming little kid banging this plaything at the doctor's office while the mom is like, I think it'd be bad. Do you think I should kick my daughter in the butt? No, of course not. You think I should leave my husband? I could bang my pro golfer again. And then she touches him, and then he sees all the stuff she has committed, from adultery to letting her kids scream and knock a bowl of Cheerios off the ground. Then he goes to the front desk, and the woman's like, do you think it'd be okay if I told that woman to tell her daughter to shut up? And more hilarity ensues because he says, sure, go right ahead. With his mom, his dad is Dexter's dad. I thought that was awesome. I was like, hey, that's Dexter's dad. And so when he gets into the doctor, everyone notices the horns except one person, and it is his best friend. It's his best friend. Crap, I can't even think. It's his best friend Lee, who cannot see the horns, but everyone else can see him, and he figures, well, maybe only good people can see them. So there's reporters all the time who are wanting an interview with Iggy, This was my favorite scene in the movie, and I even recorded it just to show you guys my favorite scene in this whole dang movie. By the way, I do not own this clip.
You know what? I got an idea. How about you guys beat the shit out of each other, and the winner gets an exclusive interview with me.
When I first seen that, I was laughing my butt off. I could not stop laughing. I thought it was so funny. He can tell people what to do, and they will do it. And it's so funny. Like, he goes into the bar, and he basically is like, all right, I want to know who killed Marin, and you're going to tell me. And, like, he hears all these things that he didn't want to hear. And then he finds out that this waitress told the police everything that they believe to be true, because she is wanting to be on TV so bad, and she wants to be a porn star and all this other stuff. Just a lot of insanities ensues. Everyone thinks he's guilty. His own parents even think that he's guilty, even though they're helping him. His mom says that she doesn't want him to be their son anymore. How depressing is that? I mean, he goes to his only safe haven, and the mom's like, whenever you come over, I just want to sing la 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 la, or I want to hold my breath until you go away. It's really depressing, but at the same time, it's kind of funny. So when he talks to his brother Terry, who is a musician and he's on drugs and alcohol and everything, he touches his brother by accident, and he sees what happened. When Iggy was going to propose to Marin, she broke it off with him, and we have no idea why. Terry drove her somewhere, and she's like, she took a walk in the woods, and then the next day he woke up and he seen that she was dead and the murder weapon was in the car. He didn't tell Iggy. He was too afraid. We then find out another hilarious thing is that the cops are gay, and I told my friend they are incredibly gay, and it's just so funny. Cause like when he's like, yeah, beat the crap out of him, and that's something I can think about later. And Daniel Radcliffe's face is like, wait, what? It's so freaking funny. So then a couple days later, he notices they're following. He's like, you know what? Why don't you guys just do stuff right now? And he makes the cops do it. And I cover my eyes because I don't want to see that. But it's just so funny on how the horns can make people do whatever he wants, even though a lot of people says he turns into frickin' Satan. But when he finally confronts the killer actually, okay, you know what, forget it, there is spoilers. When he comes to the best friend, and the reason the best friend could not see the horns is because he took Marin's cross, and there was something with the cross that does have the cross does have meaning. It's how him and Aaron met, and it's how they eventually became a couple. He had her cross. When he takes her cross off, he sees the horns. The cross was protecting him from seeing Ig's horns. And when he touches him, he sees what happened. He raped and murdered her, and he tried to get Ig arrested for it. And then when they're fighting, he's like, you know what? I was the one who fixed her cross, because her cross was broken, and he had him fix it. And he's like, you know what? I like her too. And we see, like, she would always kiss him on the head, and he would always want her. And so it's like, I want her, I'm going to be with her, and I'm going to do whatever I can. So when after he rapes her, and they unfortunately do show the rape, and I didn't like looking at it a second time. I didn't know it was going to happen the first time. But after this, they have a fight, and he tries to murder Ig. He puts him in a car, and he throws gas on him, and he burns him alive. But when he gets out of the water, he's like, here's one gift out of these horns. I'm really tough to kill. He then goes to her dad, and when the dad gives him Marin's cross, the horns go away, and he's completely healed. So then he finally goes and talks to everyone, and he's like, "Look, it was Lee. Lee was the one who killed her." And we get this pretty good setup where, like, Daniel Radcliffe takes them to where Marin died, and then all of a sudden, Terry, who's still recovering from almost overdosing on drugs because Daniel Radcliffe punished him, we then see the cop, the gay one, and so when they're getting ready to take him away to jail, he refuses to go to jail. He ends up shooting Lee in the leg, and because Ig intervenes and uses the pitchfork to wade the shotgun, he blows the cop's head off, and he blows the cop's head off, and then he takes the cross off, and then he grows wings, and then he becomes, as my friend Chris Santoro best put it, he becomes freaking Satan, as far as I'm concerned. Because the horns are longer like a bull's horns, or like a freaking evil goat's horns, and he's made of like lava rock. But he can somehow still die. Of course, so he does get poked in the stomach with a pitchfork 3 freaking times. But after that, he stabs him with the horn, and then he kills his friend. And then, because earlier on in the film, he goes to a minister, and he's like, "Can you please explain what happened to me?" And he's like, "You turned away from God. You went down to darkness. There's no hope for you." And he says, like, how God cast Satan away, and he was cursed to roam around the earth like a snake. Snakes are following him everywhere. And he actually takes one as a pet, and it's really creepy. So when his former best friend is gushing and bleeding, this big anaconda goes down his throat and eats him from the inside. But before that, he goes into the treehouse that he showed Marin, and there was a letter for him. We find out in the film that Marin's mom had cancer, and that's how she died. When Ig was going to propose to her, she broke up with him, and he couldn't figure out why. So when he went to the treehouse, he found the letter, and it said, "I'm sick. The cancer that I have is the kind that runs in families." She knew that Ig wanted to marry her, and she wanted to marry him, but she was dying. It's kind of like with the Deadpool thing, when Deadpool! In the comics, when he discovered he had cancer, he broke up with his girlfriend because he didn't want her to deal with the pain of loss of going through that. She did not want to drag Iggy through that. She wanted Iggy to live his life, find someone else, marry her, and have children and grandchildren. And it's a sad ending. It's a good love story, kind of. And the film ends with them talking in the afterlife, as it showed in the beginning of the film, talking about how he said in the beginning of the film, "I'm going to love you for the rest of my life." And she says, "Just love me for the rest of mine." And then the film ends with them kissing and him talking about how where they're at is paradise, and he couldn't hope for anything better. There was a couple things in this film that did not work for me. One, in the beginning of the film, Daniel Radcliffe tries his best to do a regular American accent, and he eventually does. But there's some parts of the film where his English accent breaks through, and you can hear it. In the beginning of the film, when he tries to say some words, the British accent comes through. I mean, he does a great job. He really does. He can pull off the accent, but when you're trying to do, if you're British and you're trying to do an American accent, or if you're from America and you're trying to do a British accent, it's tough to keep it. It really is. Speaking from experience. But other than that, Daniel Radcliffe did a good job in this film. I'm gonna give it. I give this film a B-, just because there are some parts of the film, like the end of the film, you have to turn your brain off to understand. Like, they never explain where the horns come from or why he grows them. I tried to look up why. I do want to read this book. But yeah, acting is good. Story is good. Everything in this film is good. The only kind of thing that turned me off about it was about, like, there's one part in the movie where he blames God for Marin's death. And I guess maybe that's where the horns came from, because he said God didn't say... He practically said that God didn't do anything for her. And so I don't know, maybe that's where the horns came from. Maybe God gave him the horns. I don't know. They never say where the horns came from, and that's one of the weak things of the movie. But other than that, besides the whole him turning into a flaming bull thing when taking off the cross, other than that, this film has got a lot of good stuff. It's got good acting. That's why I give it a B-. I strongly suggest giving it a watch. Either that, or if you've read the book, read the book. Because I'm definitely wanting to read the book. Guys, this has been another episode of Phenomenal Views. Put in the comments below, what did you think about horns? Did you think it was as good as the book or better than the book? I've never read the book. I'll eventually review the book when I get the book. Guys, have a great day.